Hi everyone, it's Good Friday, it's April the 3rd, 2026. Happy Good Friday, by the way. But the world is at war, so we're kind of gonna discuss today in this video what is happening in the world, what all of this means prophetically, and we're just gonna deep dive on everything that's going on in the world and obviously bring the truth into the mix. Okay, so US and Israeli strikes on Iran triggered a full-scale war that's basically quickly escalated in the Middle East. You've probably heard about it, right? Definitely you have. And it's been setting off a whole chain of global repercussions with the oil, with the fertilizer, with the blockade. So much is happening. So also stock markets are closed, oil prices are absolutely surging, ships are completely trapped, they're not able to move. And nations are getting worried. They're getting shaky, okay? They're shaking in their boots. And today, of all days, right, of all days, is the day that Christians around the world remember that a man was nailed to a cross and died for the sins of humanity. So you tell me that that's a coincidence. I'll wait. There is no coincidence. And the timing is something to pay attention to. So Good Friday, it's not just a holiday of, the Easter bunny, Easter eggs. It marks the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, okay? The sacrifice, the forgiveness, the redemption. So it sits heavy, but it's very meaningful because Easter comes after that, where he is resurrected. So this day is the darkness before the dawn, basically. So for 2,000 years, Christians have paused on this day and really asked, what does the cross mean in this moment? Today, I want you to ask that question with completely fresh eyes, because this particular Good Friday may be the most significant one in a generation, truly. So let me paint you a picture of a Good Friday in 2026. So this war has landed in a global economy already navigating tariffs, post-pandemic debt overhangs, and inflationary pressures that central banks have only recently begun to contain. Iran launched multiple waves of missile and drone attacks against Israel. Tehran has been heavily targeted, and the Strait of Hormuz, the waterway which is a huge portion of the world's oil passes, is under threat right now. Between 2020 and 2026, the world has experienced as a collective an unprecedented succession of crises. Okay, a global pandemic, the return of high-intensity warfare in Europe, chronic economic instability, and a visible acceleration of climate disruption. So these events no longer occur in isolation. They're all coming together, and there's people who can see it, and I know you are probably one of them. So they all collide together, kind of creating a permanent polycrisis. So there's so much going on from all different angles and all different kind of avenues and areas. And Jesus said in Matthew 24, wars and rumors of wars, nations will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. He called these the beginning of birth and pain. So please ask yourself, does that sound familiar right now? Right? Does it sound familiar on what Jesus was talking about? And here's where it gets prophetic. God has been continuously waking me up every single night for the past weeks, where I've been having very vivid dreams of what's to come, of the agenda of the people who run the world, want to bring into fruition. I was waking up with like panics with the 2030 world agenda, with the World Economy Forum, Project Agora, the smart cities. I was having visions and very vivid dreams, and many believers can't handle the discomfort. But Jesus called us to be salt, right? Salt stings. Salt flavors the food, right? It cleans as well. But there's enough sugar in the world, If I'm just giving you the sugar-coated truth all the time, I'm just being sugar, and Jesus called us to be salt. So we need to sit with these uncomfortable truths and recognize what is happening in the world, so we can have a level of discernment to not get sucked in to the agendas, to the plans that the dark forces are trying to orchestrate right now. That level of discernment is very, very important. And I truly believe that God is exposing all of these dark agendas right now. He's exposing that we cannot trust the politicians, that the only trust we can really put in, the only thing we should put our trust in is in God. And it's like He's revealing to His children at the moment what's happening, what they want to do. This is like the push in our face where we cannot ignore it anymore. So we can really understand that we've got to start being discerning, to start being in our light, not feeding into the pendulums of the world, not feeding into the fear, not feeding into the separation, not feeding into the lies and the deception, not feeding into a system that is absent of God, right? So to try and be more sovereign in this time. And that's what keeps on coming up as well. Sovereignty. We are being called to be more sovereign in our lives. So I truly believe that there's a demonic spirit attached with all of these wars, systems, pandemics. And I truly believe that this is a taunting spirit, right? And it must be confronted. It must be confronted and exposed. And a lot of people, a lot of believers in 2026 are going to deal with a lot of taunting spirits. Mocking identity, mocking of your purpose, mocking of your faith, mocking of children who want to live in true alignment with God. So think about that as well, because 2,000 years ago there was also a taunting when the Roman soldiers were mocking Jesus on the cross. There was a crowd that jeered. There were religious leaders who said, if you're the Son of God, then come down from the cross. And he didn't come down, he finished the work. And 3 days later, every single voice that mocked was completely silenced. So this is what I want you to understand on this Good Friday. Scripture says that Jesus hung on the cross from noon to 3 p.m. before drawing his last breath, representing hope. This represents hope and new beginnings, even in the darkest of moments. So 3 hours of darkness, it's going to feel long. 3 hours where it looked like evil had won. 3 hours where his disciples had scattered. Hope was gone and the dream was dead, basically. We are living right now, where we are with all of these tensions in the world. We are living in the 3 hour moment right now. I've got goosebumps. So wars in the Middle East, economic chaos, nations trembling, the world feeling like it's literally spinning off its axis. Right? But here is what Good Friday teaches us. The darkest hour is not the final hour. It's not the final hour. The cross, it looked like defeat, actually the greatest victory in human history. What the enemy meant for destruction became the instrument of redemption for all humanity. So this is not a season where we're in now to disengage or to retreat spiritually, right? We need to stay firm in our faith, expose the darkness, be discerning. What is planted right now, the seeds that we plant as a collective, is harvested later. So make sure you are focusing on deepening your relationship with God, on not getting sucked into the separation and fear of the world. Focus on the calling that God put on your spirit. Focus on who you are becoming, right? In this transformation where you are deepening your relationship with God and He's doing a new thing with you. Carry on in the journey. Focus on the purpose, on why you are here. Focus on developing yourself and spiritually, mentally, emotionally, preparing yourself for what's to come. So what do you do on Good Friday when the world is completely on fire? You go to a cross. You go to the cross. Not as a religious ritual either, but not as a tradition, but as a true declaration that the same God who raised Jesus from the dead on Sunday morning is still in control of the world today. And we need to recognize that. Wars don't have the final word. Economic crashes do not have the final word. Fear does not have the final word. The empty tomb does, right? The empty tomb does. So this Sunday is Easter, right? And Easter is coming no matter what's happening in Iran, no matter what's happening in the markets, in Israel, in Washington, or in your own life even. The resurrection is not cancelled. It's not cancelled. So if this message resonated with you today, share it with someone who needs hope right now and drop a comment below. Tell me where you're watching from. And yeah, I'm just sending you so much love on your journey. If you haven't already subscribed and joined this beautiful soul family, then you know where to find us. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.